Welcome to another captivating episode of Raw MOMversations,
where fearless moms and experts unite to explore alternative practices. Hey there, I'm Allie.
And I'm Melania. Our mission is to empower your one-of-a-kind parenting journey. Join us as we explore unconventional birthing and parenting methods.
Get ready for inspiration, authentic stories, and unwavering family love.
Together, we're rewriting our rules of parenting one bold step at a time.
So without further ado, let's kick off this empowering MOMversation.
Raw MOMversations, where fearless motherhood leads the way.
All right, another episode of Raw MOMversations. Today is a very exciting one for me, and I think for you too, because this is a whole new world, right?
A whole new world. We have a courageous mom.
Yes, her name is Kellie, and she has is it a 5-month-old?
She's 5, 5 months.
She's 5. Her name is Hazel, and Hazel was born in your home.
Yes, she was. Yes.
So today we're going to be, talking about a home birth, and we're so excited to hear your story and, hopefully inspire some moms who may have been thinking about it to explore this option.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Kellie, what drew you to the idea of having a home birth for your baby's arrival?
So I was always drawn to the idea of having a home birth. I think that just in general, hospitals are not my thing. Mm-hmm. And when I got pregnant, my husband was not on board with it. He wanted to make sure I was okay, make sure the baby was okay. And then the more information I gave him and we got, the more comfortable he was with it. So I personally had always wanted to try a home birth. I had always said that if I have one or I'm blessed to have 2, I would, no matter what, give it a try. If I couldn't do it the first time, then you know what? We're on to the epidural and in the hospital, but at least I tried. So for me, it was like, we need to try it. We need to do it once. I really wanted to have that full experience of the pain from start to finish and go through with it. And then, like I said, if I couldn't deal with it, then at the end of it, I said, you know what, at least I did it. So it was an experience, that's for sure. It's not for the faint of heart. It is very hard. But you really learn a lot about yourself, because through the experience, from the moment I got pregnant, I started preparing as soon as I got pregnant.
So what does that look like? What kind of preparations do you do?
So maybe I'll explain the process from start to finish.
Yeah.
How do you get a midwife? How does that work? Because a lot of people don't know that it's actually free here in Quebec. So it's covered under RAMQ. It's the same process as if you were to find an OB. So basically, each region has a birthing center. They put you on a wait list. Midwives only take 4 pregnancies per month or 4 deliveries per month. So it's very... It's personal.
Yeah, wait, so I have a question because I'm totally new to this.
Yeah,
but if you're saying that they take 4 deliveries, does that include the deliveries happening at the center? So for the month, whether you're doing it at home or whether you're doing it at the center, okay, amazing.
Yeah, just 4 moms in general. So it's very personalized. And I think that's also what I wanted to experience my first pregnancy, because I had a ton of questions. And I really enjoyed the process of having somebody support me for any little detail that I had questions about. I didn't have to wait. They were there to answer. My appointments were super long. They were almost 2 hours long, every appointment. They not only addressed my concerns, but my partner's concerns. Everything was so detailed and so personalized, which I love. I had to get a doctor before. I had to get an OB, of course, to be seen in the meantime. And so I got an OB, and then I got the call at about 15 or 16 weeks that someone was available. So there was an opening. And then everything that I saw the OB for, my file, basically just transferred over to the midwives.
Yeah.
So As soon as we got the call that we were going to have a midwife, we met with them, we did an intro, and then basically the same type of care continues. If it's the same type of care from a midwife to an OB. So we saw them at the same times as that you would see an OB. They recommended us to get ultrasounds. We got ultrasounds. Everything is basically the same. It is a more holistic approach. So a lot of the times, like in our third trimester, we said, oh, we're going to go get an ultrasound. And they were like, well,
it's not necessary. Yeah.
It's not necessary. Like, baby is fine. We hear the heartbeat. Like, she looks good. You don't have to, but if you want to, you totally can.
And what about all your blood work? Sorry. Were you doing that at the center with them or?
Yeah. So the blood work that I had to do, so like the glucose tests, all of the same things we did. I personally found that, so because I saw the OB first and then the midwife, the OB had discussed the glucose test and had been like, when you come next appointment, go downstairs, get the drink and drink it. That's pretty much what it was. And then because we got transferred to the midwife at that mark of going to do your glucose test, they had actually spent a good, I would say like 45 to an hour explaining to us why we take it, what are the risks, what happens if I don't do the glucose test, asking me like, do you have any concerns about it? What have you learned about it? So it really is like a conversation. It's an in-depth, informational process. And so for us, we felt comfortable because, we weren't just told to do these steps. It was really like, it's your choice. If you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but they're explaining to us the risks, or the benefits.
The pros, the cons. Yeah.
Everything from A to Z. And, in the end, we ended up doing it. We did it with them, but it was still a very, informational process. As you get closer and closer to delivery, you see them more often, and then you start to talk about your experience, and what your expectations are, and what your partner's expectations are. And we had a full meeting about how my partner will support me. And so that was really interesting as well. I know when you see an OB, they don't really care, I don't think. So
they don't have time. Honestly, they don't have time.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing too, right? Like, it's how many births can we do in and out? Like, let's go. And so we felt very, very cared for. And it was, and my partner felt very supported too, because even through the home birth, they were supporting him through the process. It wasn't just, okay, hold her leg and like make her push. It was, how are you doing? Like, can we help you with anything? And side note, we also had a doula. So, we had that additional support. It was really important for me that we had a doula as well, because I always say the midwives are there to care for the baby, but the doula is there to care for mom and dad as well. So it's just an extra level of support that we got. And the midwives were incredible. I know I don't know who you met at the Lac Saint Louis.
So I'm being followed by Magali at Lac Saint Louis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice.
Who is yours?
Carrie-Anne.
Okay. They're all so amazing there.
They're amazing. And our backup was Trista. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And
a friend of mine had her. Yeah.
She was so funny. Great. I joined Allie in on one of the appointments and she had to leave because she had to go deliver 2 babies.
Yeah. She's like, I'll be right back. Okay. I just have to deliver.
No stress.
Right there.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
Comes back and she's like, sorry about that. So what were we talking about?
That's amazing. And were they, I guess they were doing it at the center?
Yeah, at the center.
Oh my God. That's so funny. They're so, they're nurturing. They're just like, they love what they do.
Oh yeah.
And that I think also was a level of comfort, because I felt like they weren't just there to be there. They were there because they really wanted to support us and bring Hazel into the world. And it was,
it's a passion for them.
A huge passion, like a lifelong passion. It's amazing.
Is there like a cutoff point? Like, for instance, I gave birth at 36 weeks and a couple of days. Is there a cutoff point as to like when you can give birth at home? Or if you had gone into birth early, you could have still...
Do you mean like if there was any complications?
No, like if you had been like 2 weeks early, could you still have given birth at home? Or yeah?
Yeah. So if ever there was any complications, then you would have to be transferred to the hospital. Or because you're followed closely, there is, if ever, let's say you had gestational diabetes or there was a problem with preeclampsia, I had a little bit of a scare. So there was a possibility I would have to go to the hospital. But then the doctors talk to the specialists and they make a decision on what we can do. And there's no cutoff. It just depends on the health of the baby, the health of you. As the mom, can you fully realize your home birth in a healthy and supported way? So there's no cutoff.
I got it. And so
exactly.
You're followed by your midwife, but did you also do any holistic approaches on the side in order to prepare for your labor?
16 or 18 weeks, I started hypnobirthing, and that helped me tremendously.
What is hypnobirthing?
It's like getting you in the right mindset.
Yeah. So basically what it is it takes you through a process of meditation, and then you go into a deep state of visualization. And once you're in that deep state of visualization, you almost become, we called it like a trance, because you really lose the world around you. And I would do this at night in the bathtub, like it was my nightly routine. So every night I did the same thing. And it really helped for my home birth. So Ali, I don't know if you're doing that, but
no, but people have mentioned it to me, and I'm like, this is something I need to look into.
Were you somebody who would meditate prior to being pregnant, or was it completely new for you?
It wasn't new, but I didn't do it on a routine basis. But when I learned, now I do it on a routine basis because it was just built into my routine and my process, my ecosystem at home. So water helped me a lot because I did my hypnobirthing in water. During my labor, I was laboring in my bathtub, and that helped a lot. I saw a pelvic floor specialist, which really helped. And I did a lot of squatting and a lot of like the normal things that you would do, but hypnobirthing was a huge one. Yeah.
And I just want to mention, you did say it's free in Quebec, but it's also free across Canada because we have listeners across Canada. So, and then in the United States, having a midwife costs between like $35,000 and $8,000. So just to let people know. Okay. So you're approaching the end of your pregnancy, and with a midwife here, you can decide to deliver with a midwife in a hospital, you can deliver in a birthing center or at home. So what led you to say, I'm ready to do it at home and let's do this? How did you convince your husband too?
I didn't have to convince him. Kellie and my midwife convinced him, which means I did none of the work. She did all of it.
I love it.
And he was very supportive of whatever my decisions were because he knew that I was the one going to be going through it. And so he wanted to make sure I was as comfortable as possible. He got all the information he needed. And then he said, okay, I feel great with Kellie and the Lac St. Louis Birthing Center. And so we went for it. It wasn't a hard choice for us. Home was always going to be the plan. And we wanted to feel as comfortable as possible bringing in our first child into the world. And honestly, a big factor for me was I want my bed. I want my bed right after I give birth. I want to be able to jump into my own shower, have my own pajamas, and be super comfortable in an environment where I feel most comfortable. That was a huge determining factor for me. And knowing how I deal with pain, I felt that my experience wouldn't have been the same at a hospital. I wouldn't have felt most like me during my symptoms of pain. And so while I was at home, I was as free as I could be, right? Like, think about how you are at home, like, you know, when you're in pain, you're cuddled up with your shades down in your bed, however you deal with pain. And to be at a hospital and hear the beeping or have the nurses coming in 24/7.
Every 5 minutes. Like,
yeah. So I knew that home was always going to be the plan. That was no choice. And also I knew that if I chose a hospital, I would have the potential option of an epidural. And so I didn't even want to give myself that option. I said,
no temptation.
Yeah. I didn't want to tempt myself. That I knew if I was making this choice of home, it was all or nothing. There was no in between. So for me, you know, even choosing the birthing center, I didn't choose the birthing center because, you know, even though it's a more organic environment, there's a bed, there's the shower, like it doesn't feel like a hospital. It's still not my safe zone. And so that's what made us choose home versus anywhere else.
Beautiful. That level of comfort for sure.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us about the day of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it starts.
Yeah. How did you know you were in labor?
So I had a great pregnancy. Just to preface this, I had no complications. We felt as though, you know, whatever you believe in up there really protected us during our pregnancy. So we're super thankful for that. We previously had a miscarriage, so Hazel is really special to us. So it was March 31st. We went for dinner, a normal like restaurant. Her due date was April 8th. We thought maybe this is going to be the last time.
The last supper. The amount of last suppers I had.
Yeah, because you don't know, right? So you're just like, it's the last dinner. Let's go out. We were getting dessert, and I was like, you know what? Usually I go for one. I'm like, you know what? I'll go for 2 desserts this time because why not, right? I got cheesecake and carrot cake, and as I'm eating, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm like, ooh, it's a little wet down there. Maybe I was like, maybe it's, I don't know how graphic we can get on your podcast, but
it's raw and real conversation. So say it.
Great. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's discharge. Like, I don't know. Right. It's my first baby. I don't know what's supposed to come out of me. And I'm like, but it seems a bit not as thick. So I'm like, okay, let me go to the bathroom. Let me check it out. Go to the bathroom. My pants are wet, like soaking wet, my pants.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I pull them up quickly. I'm like waddling back to the table. The waitress like looks at me and I'm like, we need the check, like now. And so like my husband like pokes his head out of the booth and he goes, are you okay? I go, no, we got to go home now. Like pack up the dessert and let's go. So we get in the car, we drive home. As soon as we get home, like more is like just, you know, my water is fully breaking. So now we're texting our midwives. And I go, you know, I think my water broke. Can I send you a picture? I send her a picture to ask her, like, is this my water? What is this? And she tells me to put on like an adult diaper so we can see the color of it. And at this point she goes, so at this point it's maybe like 9 p.m. She goes, just go to sleep, like go rest. Your water broke, whatever. We don't know how long this could be, right?
So sorry. So just out of curiosity, like what's the protocol? Like what do they tell you is the protocol when you think you're labor? You just text your.
So basically when you think you're in labor or when you have any questions throughout your entire pregnancy, you basically can call them and they're on call and they have like a week on, a week off, I believe, from what I remember. And so if they don't answer, it goes to their voicemail. It tells you who to call. And you can call that person. So you really have somebody available to you 24/7. I think I had had an emergency when I was like 22 weeks pregnant, and I called at 10 p.m. and she answered, and I was like, I'm so sorry to bother you, but that's what they're there for, right? Like,
Yep.
that's the personalized care you're getting. So I texted, sent pictures. She goes, go to sleep, try to rest, and I'll see you in the morning. This is about 9 p.m. So we sit on the couch. I'm bouncing on like the ball. My husband is like rubbing my back, and we start watching a movie. And then I go, I have a funny feeling I should probably like clean up the house, because I felt like it was going to happen that night. And so, yeah.
Is there a protocol in that sense too? I don't know why. You just keep at, like, you're going to labor. So do you have to go sterilize the bathtub, or is there anything that you have?
Nothing. Nothing. There's no protocol. Like so all you have to do is, before your second to last visit, they give you a list of things that you need to buy and have prepared at your home if you're doing a home birth.
What are some of those things?
So some of the things are really weird, but like a mirror, a flashlight, garbage bags.
Emergency
sounds like tornado.
Sounds like my Florida hurricane prep.
Exactly. And so just like simple things, like they ask for a bucket so that afterwards they put the placenta in it.
Mm-hmm.
They ask for, what was the other thing? They ask for like
they put your placenta in a bucket.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. So, and I'll explain it to you, but basically they ask for like a sheet, like a mattress, a plastic mattress cover, so that if you labor on your bed, you basically prepare your bed before you go into labor. You put the plastic or a sheet, the plastic, another sheet over that you're going to throw out after,
Mm-hmm.
so that when you're done laboring, they can just basically wrap up the plastic, throw it out, and you have a clean bed to crawl into.
Beautiful.
So they're very prepared. They ask for all these different things. And you just have to have it prepared at your last visit when they come see your home. And that's it. So we had all those things pre-prepared. I was very early in preparing them. So it's like 10:30 at night, and I said, maybe we should try to get some rest. So we go lay in bed. We're both laying there. I'm still no contractions, nothing. And then it's about 11:15, 11:30, and I felt like this pump, like a really big, almost like, I always say, it's like she just like pulled the plug from the bathtub, and all of a sudden it was just like all my water broke. And I'm
there
like,
it goes. Yeah. It starts as a slowly and then
yeah, it's like the pipe is just leaking, and then all of a sudden it's like,
mm-hmm.
So I go to the bathroom, and like the adult diaper I'm wearing is just soaked. So we take a new one, and I go lay back in bed, and then now it's about, I would say like 12. And my contractions went from 0 to 100 within, I would say maybe 6 minutes. Wow. So there was no gradual like
build up.
There was zero buildup. So as soon as I felt the first contraction, I wanted to get in the water. I wanted to fall asleep in the water. Whatever was going to happen, I needed to do it in the water, because that's where I was most comfortable. So my husband ran a bath for me. The warm water, ambiance was really important to me. So, and we had talked about this before with the doula. So he had lit candles all around the bathtub. The lights were dimmed. I had my birthing playlist of music going on in the background. I had my headphones on with my hypnobirthing. And I went into it. Like, I dove right in. And at this point, my contractions are getting stronger and stronger. They're going from every 5 minutes to every 3 minutes to every 2 minutes to every minute now at this point.
And you're updating your midwife.
Yes.
Or is your husband?
Not me.
Yeah.
My husband is texting the doula and the midwife. Yep. And it's so funny now to look back on his text messages.
Was it like frantic?
At first he was like very calm, and he was like, oh no, she's in the bath. She's doing really well. And then the doula's like, can she talk? And he's like, no, but she seems to be doing really well. And then all of a sudden he goes, I think you should come right now. like I think it's happening. And so she goes, okay, I'm getting ready. I'm getting changed. I'm coming. And so at one point it was just like, I couldn't talk anymore. 3:30, the midwives get here with the doula. So they both get here at the same time. They're in go mode as soon as they get here. So they
have
set
like
up
a full kit and they set up as if they're in a birthing center or hospital, ready to go.
Exactly. So before you leave your last appointment, they give you like the oxygen tank, the resuscitation devices, everything that they have at the birthing center in like a bin just at your house. And so you have to have that readily available for them. And you have to have, wherever you're going to birth, you have to have a table near there so that, once the baby's out, if there's anything wrong, they could take them to that table. So we had set up everything in my daughter's nursery with, blankets and all the items that they requested, their bin of oxygen and resuscitation. So when they got here, they just went into my daughter's nursery, they set up everything, and then they started to check in. And my doula was here at that point. So she came upstairs. She was with me from the moment she got here until, the next morning.
But what a luxury to have all these people come to you.
I know, but I feel like I'm starting to sweat with this story.
I'm getting nervous.
I want to know. I want to know. The buildup is slow.
It's I think the biggest concern people have at home, like with home births, is what if there's an emergency? You're not in a hospital, but they equip you with everything.
With everything. And I personally believe that if you've had a healthy pregnancy, your baby's healthy, there's no reason you should have to go to a hospital. Mm-hmm. I'm strong and firmly believing that, women have done this for centuries without, going to a hospital.
Yeah.
Of course, things happen. Like I'm not sitting here saying that during birth, there are women who have had a perfectly healthy pregnancy, and then the birth, the labor just isn't perfect, or complications happen. I'm not saying that, but I had a very positive mindset, a very optimistic outlook on my labor experience, and so going into it, I knew like I can do this. Whatever's going to happen once I go into labor, whatever happens, that's the way the story is supposed to go. Mm-hmm. So whether it's like I had a great and positive experience, or if I had to be transferred to the hospital, like what I had accepted, whatever was going to happen.
Which, by the way, just like coming from a standpoint of where I haven't gone to a birthing center yet, but when I took part of your appointment, she was like, they work with, like, they're not going to keep you from going to the hospital. Like they
work with the hospitals. Yeah. They're super familiar with it.
Very much so. Yeah. So, and and there was a point in my labor where there was a tipping point of like, we might have to go. And I remember the midwife being like, we might have to go to the hospital. And I just like, I was laying down and I shot up and I go, no. and then we just kept going. So I think, either way, as long as you go into a home birth, understanding that whatever is meant to happen for your journey, for your story, for your labor, that's what's meant to happen, and have a positive outlook on it. That's my advice and my experience.
So here come your midwives. They set up.
Yeah, they set up.
You're ready.
I'm full on like in go mode. They get to my house at about 3:30 in the morning. Now, mind you, we have our bed in our bedroom. We have our birthing tub next to our bed. And then I have like an ensuite bathroom. So attached to my bedroom, we had our like actual bathtub that I was in.
Okay.
So I had now transferred from our normal bathtub into our birthing pool.
Did the midwives bring this?
No. So
or you had it?
You have to either rent it. So there are rental places here in Montreal that you can rent from, or you can purchase. I hop into the tub. I'm laboring a bit in the tub. And when they got there at 3:30 in the morning, I was already 4 centimeters dilated. Then they get there, they set up everything. My husband is getting me water. He's right there next to me. I'm trying different positions and in the pool. And I said to them, I'm not comfortable in the pool. I think if we do have a second, I would know now what positions to be in the pool. But for your first, it's just like an awkward position. You don't know. For me, at least, I didn't know what position to be in. So we get out of the tub and I go, like, I feel pressure, like there's more pressure building up. And this is almost like only an hour later. They check again. I'm 6 centimeters dilated. So
is there anything on you, like at a hospital? Is there anything on you, or it's just you and they're doing in like an internal?
You mean like anything connected to me? Zero. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm naked,
free as a bird.
The only thing I had on was a little bralette, and I'm like butt ass naked, and I'm just pushing through each contraction in whichever position feels comfortable. And they were incredible. They would check, and then they would leave the room. So for most of my laboring, it was just myself, my husband, and the doula. And they were coming in, they were checking, and then they would leave and go back into my daughter's nursery and allow me to naturally do what my body had to do. There was no sense of like, okay, like lay on your back, put your legs up, now you have to push. It was just very
instinctive,
natural, and instinctive. Whatever my body was going to do, they were going to go along. At one point I said to my husband, like, okay, I'm pushing. And he goes, no, don't push. I said, no, like I really have to push. I have to push. And then they got the midwives, they came in, they checked, and I was 10 centimeters. I was ready to go. So they said, you feel like pushing? Push.
Yep.
So I was laying on my back on our bed. I had pushed for 3 hours. Yeah, I was pushing for a very, very long time. I will say that if ever you have the option to make a choice on how long to push, if you can, push longer than shorter, because I had zero tearing. They said because I pushed for so long, it allowed my muscles to
expand
and the canal to expand gradually versus in like 3 pushes and it rips. So I know that can be very painful. So she was born at 9:05 in the morning, and she came out a little sideways, with one hand on her face, her right hand on her face. And when she came out, it was the most exhilarating feeling of my life, honestly. They talk about this ring of fire that you feel when you go through a natural birth. And I can tell you, I screamed. And I was yelling. That's not even the word for it. Like burn is not even the word. I think I looked at I remember feeling it, and I pushed and I went, can I swear?
I yelled also. Like I was like, that's the ring of fire. That's it right there.
I was like, this is the fucking ring of fire. And she goes, yes, now push, because her head is right there. As soon as I did that last push, she was out, and I grabbed her, and like I pulled my baby out, so she came right onto my chest. My husband's face was right there with us. They wiped her, they looked at me, and then they let us be. So I just had to like push out my placenta. That was an easy experience for me. I just they were pushing on my stomach, and then they asked me to laugh. So I had to like almost fake laugh, like, and then it just came out. And then Melania, you were asking about putting the placenta in a bowl.
Yeah.
That's what the bowl is for. So they had my placenta in a bowl, still attached to my daughter for the whole golden hour.
Wow.
Right after birth. And as soon as they saw that I was okay, that my daughter was okay, they left the room. They went downstairs. They made themselves breakfast. They cleaned up after themselves. And they said, whenever you're ready, we'll cut the cord and we'll do all the testing we needed.
I love
So
it.
we spent the first hour after birth, just the three of us in our bed, soaking in all those beautiful newborn smells and listening to her cry and trying to get her to latch. And they left us with the doula because the doula was incredible. And we enjoyed every minute of golden hour, just the three of us.
I love it.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was such a beautiful, I call it like the most magical thing that happened in our experience, because you don't feel like your baby's getting poked and prodded and like they take them away and then check them and then bring them back. I wanted to have her just be on my chest for that first hour at least to feel her, because she's inside you for 9 months, and to have her taken away the minute she's brought out of you, like I didn't want that. So,
and the delayed cord clamping. I mean,
yes,
we can
so
eventually get into that, but the
Yeah.
benefits of that is, wow, incredible.
I think we actually cut her cord only like an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45 later.
Wow.
And then as soon as we cut the cord, the midwives were there, they were cleaning everything. And during that time, that's when my husband got to do some skin to skin. And one of the midwives helped me go take a shower. So I went to take a shower. I came back. They cleaned up. Like the experience that I had at home, just from the level of care from my labor to afterwards as well, like everything, as soon as they left, my husband like went downstairs and he was like, is there even anybody here? Like they cleaned up our entire kitchen after making themselves breakfast.
Wow.
Our whole bathroom was cleaned. They started laundry. Like they really take care of you from A to Z. And then the aftercare as well is incredible. The midwives come back 24 hours later, then 3 days, then a week, then 3 weeks later, and then there's 6 weeks you go back to the birthing center. So just the amount of care that you have afterwards is so important. I think that's what I take from my midwife experience was, yeah, the labor and the birth was amazing, but the amount of care that we got afterwards and never felt as though we were bothering anybody was top notch experience.
Raise your hand if you want a home birth.
Like, who wants that?
Melania's still scared. She didn't raise her hand.
No, I was telling you, I think a water birth is so interesting. I'm so down for it. But where you got me was the ring of fire.
It's an experience, but as soon as it's crazy, like Ali, I don't know, but it's gone instantly. As soon as you do that last push, it's gone. You feel zero pain.
Yeah.
It's a wild thought, because I thought maybe, okay, you feel some lingering pain afterwards. You feel nothing.
And in your head, you're like, I tore from A to Z, but after they're just nothing, you're good.
Nothing. It was as if I just took a big poop. That's it. Like a very big one. And it's
at
over.
what moment were you like, I fucking did it. I did it. Like, do you even realize that at any point? Or you're just so into the moment?
Were you surprised that you survived? Because I think that's what everyone's afraid of. They think they're going to,
Yeah. I
not
think
make it through birth.
the association with home birth is literally like the 1900s or like the
Yes.
1800s. People think that like you lay on a bed and you are going to be screaming, which like I was screaming, and then like bleed out and then you die and like your baby lives for the rest of its life. But that's not like the connotation. Like there's so many beautiful things about a home birth. I realized that I did it honestly probably only 48 hours later. Like
Wow.
after the dust settled and I'm holding her and I'm laying in bed and I'm just like, wait, what just happened? Like we had planned for this for almost 9 months and I really did it. Like I truly just experienced what my body was made for.
Incredible.
And with no medication, just my mind, like just my mindset, the preparation I had put in, the preparation my partner had put in, my husband had put in with me, like we did that. And we always look at each other and we go, yeah, we did that together. Like he was there every minute. He didn't even want to go to the bathroom. Like he really knew that I needed him because we had worked on that together so much. And it's something that I think a natural birth, any birth bonds you and your partner together, but a natural one at home in the safety of your own space, like will never be. Our bedroom now feels even more intimate and even more special because that's where we brought our daughter into the world.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Honestly, like I'm thinking back, I delivered in a hospital the first time, and this time I'm doing it at the birthing center. But it's like, you know, during the delivery, you're in this beautiful room, you push the button, someone runs in, you know, it's great. But then the second that baby comes out and you're transferred to the next ward, I mean, it's going to sound bad, but to me, it was like a prison ward, you know, like no one's answering you. You're asking a question. They're like, well, it's a newborn. Yeah, they cry. I'm like, help. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was COVID times when I delivered. So all the private rooms were reserved for people with COVID. So we're in a shared space with like a little curtain separating me and like 4 other moms. I mean, it was just hearing you in your shower, in your bed, and your stuff. It's like, oh, such a luxury. And people don't realize, you know, the comparison between the two.
It's not for everybody, right? Like,
no,
you know, I have friends who have kids and they're like, I would never do what you did.
Can
like,
I ask you a question? Did you find yourself defending yourself more often when you were telling people about your decision? Like, did you even have a small percentage of people that were like, wow, that's so inspiring? Or
yeah, so when we decided to do a home birth, we had some people that were like on board. Good for you, amazing, like you're gonna rock it. And then we had some people that were complete opposite, who were like, that's the wrong choice for you. Like that's a horrible choice. There's, you know, modern medicine for a reason. What if something happens to your baby? You'll regret it for the rest of your life. And I think if you're firm in your beliefs, if you're firm in your decision, at the end of the day,
and in the right mind space,
at the end of the day, it's your baby. It's your choice with your partner. And I think if my partner wasn't so on board or really had a hesitation, then maybe I would be rethinking. But we had talked about it so much. We had made the decision together. And, you know, afterwards, when you talk about your experience and you say it went amazing, it was magic, it was my baby's healthy, I'm healthy, then all those naysayers go, oh wow, it must have been so beautiful. And you're like, it really was. And I truly believed it from the beginning. And that's why I chose to do this experience for us, for my family, for what's right for me and my baby. And so I find if you're on the fence about having a home birth or going to a birthing center, really get all the information that you can and stay firm in believing what you want through that experience. Because what's crazy is we never question a woman who wants to go to a hospital to give a birth, to give birth, right? We never say, really? Like, why did you choose a hospital over a home birth? But there's this like
stigma
about, oh, really? You chose a home birth over a hospital? Why? So
and by the way, I'm just going to say it. I Google, I don't know the exact statistics, but I can probably put them somewhere. North America is one of the only places in the world that your primary care physician is an OBGYN. Everywhere else, especially in Europe, you go see a midwife as your primary. Like, you get pregnant, you call the midwife. And then down the line, if you see something, if it's a little bit more of a complex birth, then they will transfer you to an OB.
It's stigmatized. It's not an experience that everybody knows that you can do, right? Like you hear what's the normal process when you get pregnant. Okay, you call the doctor, you go to the hospital, you follow whatever the hospital tells you to do, you just do, and you don't question. But me and my partner questioned, and I said, no, thank you. I'm good with being at home and slipping on my slippers afterwards and, laying in my bed. Now, what happened afterwards was we had the ice storm, and then we had a newborn, and we were stuck in the house with no power. So that was a whole other experience, but
completely out of your control.
out of my control. But the experience that we had with our doula, Nancy from Bump and Glow, was incredible. So if you ever want a doula, I suggest going to Bump and Glow. My specific experience was pure bliss and pure magic. So I really hope, Allie, that you get that you're doing birthing center?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have a toddler at home, so for me, I figured, let me get out of here and then come back,
Yeah. And we discussed, me and my husband talked about that too. Like, if we have a second, or when we have a second, not if, will we do a home birth again? And the answer undoubtedly is yes. And will we want our daughter there? 100%. Oh, she's awake.
Perfect timing.
She will be here. Depending on her age, of course, she will be here, and she will be experiencing that with us, because we're a family, and I want her to understand that, it's natural. Our bodies are made for this, and we're excited to welcome her sibling, whoever that will be, whenever.
Well, thank you so much, Kellie, for contributing to our MOMversation and for being so open and sharing your story with us. Your fearlessness is truly inspiring.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, we like to ask our guests 2 questions.
Yeah. So first off, what is like a baby product that you would recommend? Your favorite baby product?
Oh my God, there's so I would say a heating pad. And it's like maybe not a generic baby product, but like a heating pad was our saving grace when our daughter never wanted to be put down. We would heat up whatever surface we're going to put her down on. And as soon as it was hot, we would put her down, move the heating pad, put her down, and then she would be quiet. And to this day, we still heat up her crib before she gets in for a nap, for bedtime. And it's her thing. She loves it. So I would say a heating pad, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Baby product.
And what about a product for you as a mom? Couldn't live without?
Coffee.
Okay.
Coffee is coffee. But other than coffee,
I mean, that was a great response.
That was a good, I think coffee. I think coffee's like a big one. I think, and another, all the time. Or another product. It's not a product, but another thing I couldn't live without would be my husband, because he's an incredible support. So
I love it.
That's beautiful.
That's probably my two things.
Now I'm going to reconsider having a home birth.
And I'm always like, I always love chatting with people, and people always reach out to me because I do share my experience on Instagram, and I shared about my home birth, and I have so many women who always reach out and ask questions. So I'm always, and I'm such an open book. Like, you can ask anything you want and I will answer.
That's so great, because we're going to link your information just so if other women or anybody wants to continue the conversation with you.
Yes, please.
Well, this was another real and raw Momversation.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Thank you, Kellie.
Thank you.